Hi, everybody. I am back. We spoke this morning. Our next storytelling session revolves around the story of a woman named Lindsay Dennis. Over the past few weeks, I've had the absolute pleasure of getting to know Lindsay Dennis. She is a Pasadena based lived experienced policy advisor for the Corporation for Supportive Housing, a Speak Up advocate, and a policy chair on the Lived Expertise Advisory Panel, also known as LEAP, for Union Station Homeless Services. Busy woman. She is a 39-year-old formerly unhoused individual whose incredible companion animal has brought her back from the brink countless times. She is a whole and complete human who happens to be bipolar, a recovered alcoholic, and a person who continues to confront and work on whatever life issues arise in order to stay housed, sane, a good mom to Tobey, a positive friend, daughter, neighbor, and employee, and also kind to herself. That's very important. Lindsay works as a California state policy advisor for a nonprofit, and she loves her job. It makes her feel like she is doing something important that can create change. And in my words, from getting to know her, she's very strong and she's a survivor and she's a really, really nice person. Lindsay and I recently sat down over Zoom and recorded her story. We'd love to share that with you. And then we're going to open up the chat to a Q&A with Lindsay herself, because she is here today. So just a heads up, during the interview, I'd forgotten to mute myself. I basically live under the Hellgate Bridge in New York City. I'm not even joking. So at some point you'll hear a train go by, and that is Amtrak. So without further ado, let me try to screen share and this time do it with sound.
So my name is Lindsay Dennis. I live in Pasadena, California, and I'm a Speak Up advocate. So I'm just gonna tell my story now. All right. So Christmas was always my favorite holiday. Our family wasn't perfect by any means, but that day always felt perfect to me. We would decorate the tree and make our family specialty, eggnog French toast. In 2016, that all changed. That Christmas, my parents had moved up to the Northwest and I found myself completely isolated. I remember feeling so empty that day as I cuddled Tobey, my emotional support companion and rescue dog, who really rescued me. It felt like hitting rock bottom all over again. I felt the same hopelessness, desperation, and emptiness as I felt when I was unhoused 7 years before. But I had my Tobey, the best friend I've ever had, to lick away my tears. With him, I was determined not to resort to drugs or alcohol like I would have in the past. I cuddled Tobey that holiday and thought about how I ended up here. Domestic violence played a part, and I considered my sweet dog. I was so relieved to be rid of both of my ex for both our sakes. I looked at Tobey's loving face and kissed it, thinking about how he would spur me forward. I felt that I had nothing but Tobey left in that moment, but that was enough for me to carry on. I thought back to when I had no Tobey and no home. I remember being suicidal because I never felt so lost or such utter hopelessness. With nothing to do and nowhere to go, and no sense of safety, I felt afraid constantly, and homelessness was more than I could handle. I was in and out of hospitals and psych wards, hotels and motels, you name it. After being hospitalized or institutionalized a dozen times to detox, or because of another suicide attempt, I learned that my drinking helped me cope with undiagnosed bipolar disorder. In total, I experienced 7 chaotic years with bouts of homelessness. Eventually, I found the right medication and received Section 8 housing. Actually, I was fast-tracked to receive Section 8, another gift, because I don't know what would have happened to me otherwise. Nothing has been perfect, though. I have lost my housing 3 times due to domestic violence and police calls. I was always afraid, especially that Christmas, that I could end up homeless all over again. But little by little, small miracle after miracle, with Tobey by my side, I have put myself back together, and I like who I am now. Sometimes when fear or depression does creep in and I feel like I don't have the strength to go on, I can always muster the strength because of my baby. It may sound silly, but who else would take care of my cranky, antisocial best friend if I weren't around? My 7-year-old miniature pinscher Jack Russell mix makes me smile when no one else and nothing else can. He helps me maintain my housing by motivating me to keep things in order. Tobey gets me out of bed every morning and gets me out walking every day. He helps me to maintain my mental health. my home, and my life in general by inspiring me to do my best for both of us. I am a better human being for being Tobey's mom. And I started to like Christmas again. It's not my favorite day of the year, but there are still things I really enjoy. My parents, Tobey and I, open our presents together on Zoom, and I get to watch my little brat get really possessive and really excited over his new toys each year. In closing, I want to comment on my experience through COVID with Tobey. During the pandemic, Tobey has saved me. In my loneliest of times, my puppy loves and cuddles me, kisses and hugs me, and is the very best friend anyone could ask for. After the domestic violence, he was my sole purpose for living. I got out of bed to take him out or feed him, walk him, and or play with him, saving me from my worst tendencies. The isolation during COVID could have really been dangerous for me, but I've gotten through because of Tobey and with him. He's my hero and my heart. Thank you for listening.
Yay, that was awesome. Is he there? Is Tobey
Yeah,
there?
Tobey, where are you? Tobey.
I think everyone would like to meet Tobey and all of his cranky fuzziness. I feel like he's fuzzy.
He'll growl at me when I pick him up. Come here.
Yay.
Come here. Come.
Oh, look at this baby. Hi, little buddy.
That's a friend over here. Look over here.
Love your mama.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves his mama.
Cuff kisses. Oh, you love kisses. Oh, you like my lipstick. Yes, you do. Okay.
He is performing right now.
Oh, he's so cute.
Tobey, you're such a sweet little guy.
Oh, he's so sweet. He was sleeping, so he gets cuddly when he's sleeping.
Okay, I've unmuted and started my video. Lindsay, I left in that little part with the kisses because it was so cute, even though I sounded like a total moron. So, Lindsay, if you could just unmute yourself and then we can get started with the Q&A.
Absolutely.
So, the wonderful Lindsay Dennis is here to, answer any questions you might have about her experience, her life with Tobey, what she's gone through in her path of recovery. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But I think I'll start this off. And you had mentioned domestic violence and coming back from that, like how have you felt stronger as a result of, overcoming that and surpassing it? Like what have you found in yourself like since then? Because I feel like, you're a really tough person and you've come a long way and it's very inspirational.
Thank you so much. Wow, I found that I can survive a lot and that I shouldn't have had to. And I've found that being a survivor is something that I had to get okay with. And getting okay with that gave me strength. And not getting okay with the domestic violence, but getting okay with the fact that I was in it. Getting okay with, like, accepting that that's where I was then, and that thank the stars I got out. Thank the stars that I got out of it. But it was something that for years I refused to really give. I blamed myself. And a lot of people, and I had some victim blaming going on around me, and it was something that was really difficult, and I survived that. So I figure, hi Tobey, that what I found in me, the most important thing that I found in me is that I am strong, that I am whole, and that I am okay, and that it's going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah. There's a lot of comments here in this chat. I love you, Lindsay and Tobey. You're a warrior, and that is from our very own Anne English. Everyone loves your story. So did you find challenges in finding housing that would allow Tobey to stay with you?
I didn't, because I had he's my emotional support animal, and I was able to get a note from my doctor, but I was also really lucky to find a mental health clinic that works with unhoused people. So I was able to get in and see a doctor and get a note that basically said, yes, this dog is necessary. I'm prescribing this dog for this woman.
Cool. We
And
have
that,
more.
and
Oh,
and I
sorry.
found I found that there's a lot of information on how to get an emotional support animal. I don't know what all the challenges are, but I know that it is possible. Reach out if you can get a doctor. If you do have a doctor, please reach out to your doctor and at least ask.
Cool. Doctors can be very, very helpful. We have more. We have a whole bunch of stuff here. What are some recommendations you can give for those of us with lived experience that want to offer our expertise and peer support whilst working outside of conventional structures? We have an example too. For example, with my Romani communities, our ethnic group are immediately defensive if you try to approach their encampments as someone from an agency, organization, or etc. So I want to continue my mental health and animal welfare outreach as a Romani person without making them uncomfortable. So how would you support people being independent of, like, say, an organization? Because a lot of times people might mistrust an organization.
Um, that's tough. I feel like the best thing that you can do is generally try and find somebody that has a similar ethnic background to try and at least talk to. Maybe I'm not understanding the question right.
Sure. So a lot of times, like, people who are experiencing homelessness don't trust um, organizations, like, a lot of the people here. So how could someone approach that independently, like just as a human to human thing?
I can share more too if it would help.
Yeah, sure. Jump in.
So I want to help my ethnic group, obviously. And the biggest issue is that I worry, being a student in psychology, I'm going to get myself in trouble before I'm even a psychologist, if that makes sense. So what's a good way? I've been looking at, like, peer support specialists. What's a good way to have sort of a title that sort of protects me while I can still sort of be independent, if that makes sense?
Volunteer.
Perfect. That's what I've been doing. Yeah.
And I was a psychology major myself.
Yeah.
I understand from that standpoint, not wanting to get yourself in trouble. I played all over the place to that because I immediately wanted to help as many people as I could.
Right.
And it's amazing. I just want to commend you for wanting to do.
I reached out to my school and they kind of just gave me blank faces too. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, they probably have no idea.
Yeah.
And English from CSH, who knows Lindsay as well, had said perhaps some peer support groups like Speak Up, which is what Lindsay had been a part of. So, but again, you'd probably have to approach people first and then shift them into that. So we'll see. Lindsay, we have much more praise for your strength coming through in this chat. A lot of people have been through your situation. There, a lot of people being like, hey, I'm a survivor too. Like, go you. We have some more. Carol, our wonderful host, has asked, how can I support my tenants who have companion animals? Oh, there goes a train. Who have companion animals and might need to go to treatment or a short-term respite and can't take their furry family members. How can a landlord step up, or an organizational person step up to, like, be more supportive of their tenants? What would you look for?
Well, I would doubt that Carol probably asks tenants for a security deposit for their pets, but there are a lot of managers that do ask for that, and I don't think that's something that most people who were previously unhoused can afford. So that's one thing that I definitely think should be off the table. Yeah, I don't know.
Carol said she tries to fight those pet deposits so
Yeah,
much.
no, so I'll just hop in.
Yeah, you do.
The folks on the board know the story. Like last summer, I had a tenant who, supportive housing tenant, and she was in crisis and was maybe a little she was decompensating a little bit. And she had this cat she adored. The cat was not friendly. She had no support system, and basically case management emails me and it's like, we need someone to take this woman's cat or else it's going to go to the shelter. And I literally went and picked it up, and the cat lived with me for like 4 months. And then when she got out of her situation, she went back to her apartment and I gave her Mercedes back. And I just want to be able to, I don't want it to just be me out of the
Right.
kindness of my heart to do it. So it's like, how can I, as a landlord, as the CEO of a supportive housing agency, like really create these programs at a larger scale so that I'm not then stuck with all the cats. I rescue animals myself, I foster them, and then being able to help my 200 plus tenants plus 500 voucher holders to do this. It's like I want, and I also want to be able to with this person I was able to establish that trust, but if I said to someone, go get your help, I'll take your animal, how can I make you feel safe that I'm going to give you your animal back and I'm here to be a part of your extended family?
Well, one thought I had just like immediately is reach out on social media that doesn't solve the issue of the trust thing, and that's huge. I don't know how I would feel if I had to go into hospital, and I thought of this and I have some backup plans if I have to, but I also have friends who don't have any social support and they do have animals, and I worry for them. And they're lucky to have you, and it's also heartbreaking that you've been put in that position. At the same time, it's amazing what you're doing. So I guess like I wish there were more programs in general for people who are and were unhoused and their animals, just as resources, supports. There are some, but I don't think there are as many as there ought to be out there for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I believe that is the end of this time frame. Lindsay, thank you so much for sharing your story, and then for, answering some complex questions that even I was like, I don't even know. Carol, thank you for supporting your tenants. And Lindsay's been really nice getting to know you. I feel like we're contemporaries, and yeah, it's been a pleasure. So
Yeah, we're the same age too. And thank you all for listening to
Older.
me.
Yay!
No, thank you, please.
One last
Lindsay,
look at
So
Toby,
honored.
please.
Oh, Lindsay, one more look at
Toby.
Toby. Toby's really cute.
Oh, oh my
Yay.
goodness.
Look at him.
Oh, he's so cute.
Thank you.
He was a good boy.
Thanks,
Oh, we have
Lindsay.
more dogs. This is a
You
big.
rock.
All right. Thank you so much. Carol, take it away.